Roger.
Rick, here we are again.
Number 4.
another episode of Southern Porches. Woo!
Well, happy post, Merry Christmas and pre New Year.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, this has been. I would be lying if I said I'm sad that 2016 is going. That would be a lie. I'm ready. I saw a cartoon on Facebook that I loved. It was Homer Simpson driving over a bridge, and the bridge was painted 2016. And as he drove over it, he set it on fire. That's it, man. Whoa, I'm ready to burn that one down. This has been, and I feel like for most people, 2016 very hard year with the election and seemingly a whole lot of well-known people passing.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
okay, keep it going.
Very hard for people to make it through, and I think again a piece of all that is loss. I think a lot of people's losses during 2016 and even before that have really come on heavy during this holiday season. And that has been a barrier for many people to rise above. They just, it's very hard.
Well, I think it's true that part of the challenge we had, I don't think we've ever seen anything historically, or those of us that are alive, as to what happened in the presidential election this year, which was a stressor and has caused a lot of challenges for people, even to the point, I don't know if you saw those videos where people would actually destroy their TV when they saw one of the candidates.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
But I understand that. I think it did bring out a message that there's a large portion of America that's frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the old network movie. I'm mad as heck and I'm not taking it anymore. I felt like so many people were there. They had just had enough. They just felt disenfranchised. They felt like they weren't heard. They felt like they didn't count. And so they rose up and said, I'm gonna go against the established cycle and go in a different direction in hopes that I'm gonna be heard this time. So, but it's tough out there. I would be lying if I said, oh, everybody's just smooth. No, everybody is not smooth. It's very difficult for so many people.
And we come into this time of year where we go through the holidays, and actually as a way to take your mind off of the day-to-day routines of life, you have the excitement of the shopping and the planning and the preparation, and then it comes and it's gone.
Oh, in a microsecond. That is just amazing to me. I was sitting there in Christmas looking at all the presents out there and thinking, oh, this is so beautiful. And literally in a matter of minutes, kids come in like the locusts. They come in, they tear up everything, and then they've got the gifts and they're playing with them. This is all good. And then by the end of the night, they're tired of those gifts. It's like, wow, all the time, all the money, all the energy put in, and it's just a second. It's just a second. But I will have to say it's been a good Christmas season. We were talking about that before the show, how it had been a good Christmas season for both of us. We felt positive about that, and neither one of us tried to convey perfect. Oh, we had a perfect. No, we didn't have a perfect holiday season. There were glitches along the way, but across the board, the spirit was positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad for that. I feel like we need to really, Rick, check our spirit, check our soul in the midst right now. I think that a lot of people's spirit is down. I think a lot of people's relationship spirit is wounded and they're limping along. And so it's important for them to heal. This is a good healing time so that they can come into 2017 fully healed, fully accountable, fully responsible, and step into the light and do better work in 2017.
So how do we get ourselves prepared for 2017, and how do we get a mindset that we are going to be victorious in 2017?
I think the number one message out there, and I know people get tired of this, is the importance of taking care of yourself. It's not being selfish, it's being healthy. And I think people give and give and give more than they have. Money, time, energy. They think to make something happen, they need to give away and give up themselves and empty themselves. And I find that really is destructive. So that's not what needs to happen. I think people being healed and being whole and out of their excess change where they're going. Out of their excess, go, wait a minute, I have something to give, and I can give it away and still be whole. And I think, and people receiving it, Rick, I think they receive it differently. I think when people get something out of people's wholeness, it's not the same as getting it and knowing, well, this person has it to give. They're able to give it, and they'll still be as whole as they ever were, and even better because they gave to me.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's ever a time of healing and restoration, I truly believe we're in it right now, and I think there will be people that will do that, and I think they will benefit greatly. And there's people that will, no, I'm gonna stick with giving, and I think they're going to find out that they're going to become give out. It's going to be too much. They're going to find emotionally, spiritually, physically, they're going to falter. I was watching a Spartan race the other day on television, Rick, and I realized that the people who won the race prepared. They said, oh, we on our off time run other races. We work on this. We realized, and all of them had different weak spots, and they talked about their weak spots. And they said, at our weak spots, we've worked on that because we know that during the race, this is going to come up, and we're going to need to be ready for it. And other people, hey, I'm just showing up. I'm going to do the best I can. It was inevitable that halfway through the race, those people faltered. They came up against something that was too much,
Mm-hmm.
and they just, rose their hands and said, no mas, no too much.
Yeah. Gail has asked a question out there, and Gail, it's sad that any of us have to be estranged from friendships, but she says, I'm estranged from a very close Christian friend over the presidential race. She has an opportunity to rebuild the relationship in a few weeks. Do we just leave the elephant in the room and walk around it, or should she confront it? How would she best handle?
I think in a situation like that, writing things down is very powerful, very powerful. I think sometimes we try to verbally dance with it, and what we say and what people hear are very different. And if I've walked in with animosity, I'm going to use whatever verbiage you bring to me as a pivotal point of being more negative. But it's much more powerful if I say, if I write down on a piece of paper, number one, this friendship is the most important thing. And number two, the presidential race has already been decided. Number three, what do you feel? And I think that it's good to ask the other person for support. What do you think we need to do to make this stronger? What I would then reframe the presidential race as, and the disagreements with the presidential race as a speed bump. Yeah, we had a speed bump. We had a hole. We kind of got off track. And I'm sorry for that. And I want, if you've got a way you think it's going to put us back in the race, let me know. And so when I send that out or when I give that to that person, I let them process it. I let them look at it in black and white so that when we come together, we have that to talk about. We're not talking about 15 other things. Oh, I think about this, and I don't like the horse down the road, and my car's not running right. That's usually what people do. And then they wonder, well, why didn't the conversation go well? Poorly planned. If you want to have a productive conversation, have a well planned conversation. And people will respect the fact that they can see you put time in to put that structure out there. And it keeps things in a frame. If you've got it in a frame, the chances of both of you working at it and getting success, very high, very high. But when you wander to 15 different things, they're talking about the dog and you're talking about the fence and they're talking about the horse and you're talking about like in the car, you can talk for hours and never get to a point. And with one of the things is no solution. We're problem heavy, and it's easy to talk about problems, and it's easy to complain, and you get nowhere. But when you're focused on a particular issue and you're seeking together a solution, great things can happen. Things that you wouldn't, you walk in and go, wow, I never knew this could happen. I never knew this is what was going on. It's just fascinating if it's well structured, well planned.
Right. Great. And also, Gail, I would say that, you've already shared that she's a friend. She's a Christian friend that apparently you've had a lot of opportunities in the past, and there's a lot of similarities and commonalities between the two of you. So this is, as Roger says, this is where we'll spend our time in this relationship, is building upon the commonalities. And, as far as leave the elephant in the room or walk around it, I think the two of you, by understanding the commonalities you have and the experiences you have, that you can walk that elephant out. Just don't feed it. And every time you start talking about those things that disengage you, that's just feeding that elephant. Let's don't feed the elephant anymore. Let's just walk out of the room and use the commonalities, your faith, your friendships, whatever else the past has been, and let that be the answer to this. And so, build upon commonalities. We are a society, unfortunately, that I think likes to point out everybody's differences and tell everybody else what's wrong with what they believe, think, or do. But we'd be amazed at how easy it is if we just try to understand another person's position. Understanding does not mean, if we're empathetic in our lives, and if we use critical thinking skills, that does not mean we have to agree with another person. Right. But are we doing a disservice when we try not to understand somebody?
And I love that phrase, learning to agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
There is family, there is friendship. It nowhere in family or friendship does it say we have to agree. We were raised in the same household. We have to agree. We became friends at church. We have to agree. No, sometimes to have a good family relationship, to have a good friendship, we have to say, we see things differently. You see it this way, I see it that way, and we're never going to see it the same way. That doesn't make either one of us bad. We agree that we're just going to disagree on this. And there's kind of that elephant in the room. Is it important to state that? Yes, as an issue. But I would never state it if I did not present some element of solution. That's very powerful, and encourage them to do the same.
Yeah, and part of the communication process is, if we speak from a perspective of self, then we're going to be safe. And what I mean by that is I believe this because, and then you use the different sensory experiences we've had in that. It's when we start finger pointing and being accusatory or saying, Roger, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about when you're talking about that. Now, you're going to be
that's a good moment.
You're going to be defensive as soon as I say that. But if I say, Roger, my position, or I believe this because I heard him or her say, I saw him or her do. And then again, it gives you an opportunity to hear my perspective without having to go on the defense.
Yes, I totally agree with that, Rick. And the other thing that I'm saying in this is write it down.
Mm-hmm.
When we write it down, it keeps us focused, you know. And so in doing that, we're not wandering. And a lot of times what this person's also talking about is this elephant in the room. We're not going to bring it up, but we're going to spend an incredible amount of time wandering around it, and it will damage the friendship if it's done that. Versus if we are respectful, we're focused, we're looking for solution, all that is going to make a huge difference in how that goes. And I think a great thing in that, Rick, is it shows I'm looking for progress. I think friendships need that. I don't think they need to be stagnant. I think if differences come up, good. If we don't see things the same way, good. You know, we're not the same people.
In fact, healthy conflict in any type of relationship can create the changes that are needed to keep that relationship strong. It's when the conflict is not handled in a healthy manner that becomes destructive.
You're so right. And I love that phrase, healthy conflict. We've really lost that in the last couple of years. It's much more of a fight and a throwdown from the get-go, you know, and whose dog, my dog's bigger than your dog kind of mindset. And we don't realize how destructive that is. And that's another thing that really bothers me is that people aren't thinking about the future. You know, if you and I don't like something today, okay, we don't like it, we work through it. But if I'm still holding on to it 5 years from now, wow, how damaging that's been for us, how damaging that's been for me personally. And that is something, it's like that old phrase, I'm mad at you, so I'm going to drink poison.
Yeah, well, that's what anger is.
It's like, wow, man, that's so dysfunctional. But that's why people think, you know, I'll show you, I'll drink poison.
Yeah.
It's like, no. What can we do to build on the difference? It's not always build on similarities. It might start off similarities. It may even initially build off similarities. But at some point, we're just not going to be similar. We're not the same people. And we're going to have to acquire, which takes work, the skill it takes to move through that.
Right. Because we, again, are taught enough. It's got to be a win-lose situation in our society or culture. Or somebody has to compromise, which again, but when we learn that it's about learning to resolve issues in a collaborative way, where we both are able to have our input, brainstorm whatever the issues are, and then come out of it with solutions that are collaborated on both parties. It's always interesting when you get somebody's buy-in. You know, this is going back to management 101. You don't implement policies until you get the employees buy-in, if there's always the time, because if an employee has a buy-in to the policy change, they feel they have ownership of it and they'll take it.
Yes.
But if we just throw things out there or become so stuck in our own way of doing things.
Dictatorial is what happens. You know, many friendships is one stronger person than the other who dictates, and the other person goes along, and as long as I dictate and you go along, we have a friendship. No, that's not a friendship. I love what you said there, Rick. Buy-in. That win-win, that equality. There's a good family member. There's a good friend. And it's just fascinating what kind of solutions you can come up with in that dynamic. But when you're in that contrary elephant in the room, my view is right, your view is wrong, I'm right, you're wrong, there's a heavy price to pay in that. And that does not go well.
It's broken and destroyed relationships. It's broken and destroyed friendships. And I think, part of what we need to come back to, as you started off, and, part of the giving, but also decluttering your life is sometimes uh, decluttering these attitudes and positions that you think you have to hold on to so tightly that no one's really wanting to take them away from you. They don't want them. They don't want them.
Yeah, the one thing I'm thinking about that's a real detriment in these situations is noise.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize that sometimes we've got other voices, other things in our ear that create noise that makes it hard to hear the other person's point of view. So sometimes it's important to get down and get clear communications and get a clear place of we both buy in.
Mm-hmm.
When we do that, again, like I say, and I want our viewers to hear, buy in, powerful.
Mm-hmm. Or again, like I said, agree to disagree and go on with it. Life,
without a doubt, big things can happen.
We got a lot more problems in life sometimes than some things we get in conflict over.
Oh my goodness! And I love that old stuff, old saying that goes, "You're majoring on the minors."
Yeah.
Wow, I see that all the time where people are upset or at ill with each other over minor things, but they have made a mountain out of a molehill. It's like, oh gosh, this is not the way life is. This is not the way it's lived. And nothing's worse, Rick, than getting in a place where you lose to win. That's what just really, it's like, yeah, you won, but at what cost? Yeah, you got your way, but at what cost? Boy, that's tough.
Yeah, Isaac just left a nice compliment, but thank you, Isaac, and Happy New Year to you too. And again, hopefully we'll find an opportunity before some people leave and come. But good seeing you.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
And grow and thrive. This would be what I'd say to all that. Good to hear that you're watching and a part. And that's what we want to do. We have in Southern Porches, we always have a seat open for people to be right here, to put in their questions, to put in their comments. And we want to encourage that. We want you to be part of the mix. And we know that if you're part of the mix, hopefully we're bringing out positive information, things that's going to help people, things that are going to get people over the speed bump. That is what Southern Porches is all about. It's helping you be part to go to the next level. It's so easy. I want everybody to hear this. And the older you get, the easier it is to be stuck. It's very easy to be stuck in life.
I would like to do a study sometime on time. How the first 18 years of your life seems like forever. We are given that wisdom. Don't rush to grow up because time will go by too fast, and you don't believe it those first 18 years. And 18 to 36, you got the accelerator on, but you're still kind of keeping it under control. 36 to 42, 45, it's still running, but after that, we're in warp speed. I think
that's another piece, Rick, about Christmas. I could not believe how the kids were in a hurry up mode. I want to grow up. I want to grow up. And I was sitting back thinking, wow, you are running towards something that when you get there will not be as cool as you're presenting it right now. I wish that as hard as I ran for adulthood, that when I got to adulthood, it was as cool as I thought it was. It was far, far less and far more work than I would have ever expected. And when I look back at the glorious moments of childhood and the freedom of childhood and the lovely flow of childhood, and why I rushed a moment through that is insane now. But I guess that's how we all play.
You know, Roger, right before we turned the computer on around discussion, and we've both been asked questions about how do we pick the topics that we're going to talk about. You want to share with everybody the massive time we put into the prep for this, and how we come up with and how we come up with the topics and the research that goes into it.
Well, I think what our viewers miss is both Rick and I have been through years of school, and so we have not only studied this material, we continue to study it. Boy, the things we studied in school, I want everybody to understand, is outdated. For the most part, what we learned is no longer useful. If we want to be useful, we've got to get into new material. And so that is the nature of Rick and I. And so we don't plan anything more than to show up who we are, to show up as authentic, to show up as real. We would like to believe that if you stopped Rick and I at the mall, we would be just like we are right now. We would talk the way we talk, look the way we look, and go over subjects the way we go over subjects now. So we don't have a set structure. We come in and bring our stuff, or because we're both therapists, we see clients from in different situations, or we're both involved in church, so we see people in church. And so whatever issue seems to run through those moments, we bring them here and we discuss them and we throw them out there, and this is what's going on. And if we had something like we talk about with Christmas at the house, that's what we talk about, because people want to lay out that therapy is different than life. And no, it's not. Therapy is a place where people are stuck, and they need, help more than support or clarity. And
just a roadmap, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. I love that.
Sometimes they get stuck in the ditch, and it's just helping them get out of the ditch. And life, and then a lot of times in life we think that if we're going to make dramatic changes in our lives, we have to make major adjustments. And yet there's a theory out there called 2 degrees, which you use in driving, that says to stay in the middle of the road, you just turn a steering wheel about 2 degrees and you stay in the road.
Ooh, I love that.
If you overturn either way, you end up back in the ditch. And so we're just kind of teaching them how to keep their hands on the 12 or 2 or 12 or 2 and 2 degrees, and keep them in the middle of the road.
Yeah, there we go.
And keep them out of the ditch. Thanks, Cheryl said, and you guys with the material, material discussing marital issues, relationship expectations, step family issues, conflict resolutions. And speaking to, I see that Cheryl's on here. Guess where I was 19 years ago today?
Man, I have no clue. I'm trying to think of where I was 19 years ago. Where were you 19 years ago?
I was in the rain and sleet and snow of Charlotte, North Carolina, in a little church up there, marrying my bride.
Wow. Well, I would say a little over 20 years ago, I was in here, Greenville, and getting ready to get married. So we were kind of in the same, and it's just amazing how life, I say to people all the time, I grew up in Oklahoma, and I said, we didn't act like South Carolina didn't exist, but we didn't study South Carolina in school. And I think mainly because nobody believed somebody from Oklahoma would ever make it that far to the East Coast. I mean, that seemed like going to England or going to Europe is to go to South Carolina. But now that I'm here, wow, it's wonderful, and the history and the climate. And another thing was that I, with my wife, she grew up her whole life here, and she talks about the beach. Wow. Well, in Oklahoma, no beach, no ocean, none of that. You're landlocked. So I didn't grow up with that culture, and also it's nice now that I have a chance to be part of that. I really love that, and to go down and spend time at Folly or Hilton Head or Myrtle Beach. Whew, I mean, what a wonderful experience. And I was glad that I was able to go to Myrtle Beach while the pavilion was still constructed. They had not torn it down yet. And so at least I got an idea of what that was like and what Myrtle Beach was back in the day, which is not exactly the way it is today.
Well, now Oklahoma did contribute something as far as water. They built all those man-made lakes out there and brought humidity to Oklahoma. We never had humidity until they built the man-made lakes.
I'll tell you the number one issue that separates Oklahoma from South Carolina is their definition of tornado. Wow. You know what Oklahoma's call tornadoes? Spring. Because every spring, even when I was a little child, spring had come, you'd have tornadoes. It wasn't like ever so often. It was every year. Every time tornadoes. There was no block I ever lived on, ever in my life, that didn't have a bomb shelter. Where people went down and you sat while the tornado went by and you just hoped and prayed that your house would still be standing when you came out.
Or you weren't in Oz.
But I want people to understand that's Kansas, right? Kansas, the state above Oklahoma is where Oz happened. No, South Carolina. I've lived here for well over 20 years, and I've never seen anything that is an equivalent to that. Thank God. I'm not wishing that on people. Wish Oklahomans didn't have to put up with it. But when you have just miles and miles and miles of flat land and wind that can pick up speed, it's all over the crying. It's a bad deal. But it's amazing how life, when we think about, how life has changed and the decisions you make. And I don't know if it was Dave Ramsey or Don Miller or whoever said that a new life is one decision away. That it's because people don't make a decision and don't move on that decision, then 20 years, like we're talking about now, you wake up and go, how did I get here? Well, you got here because of your choices. You willfully made the same choice. Even though you said you were unhappy, you made the same choice. And then I loved AA that says, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I think that's very profound. I think that people talk about change, want change, pray for change, but they don't make any any decisions that are different. And another thing I hope our viewers hear here is that you cannot have the life you want and also have everybody in your life happy. That is not possible. I'm sorry. You are going to tick some people off if you live the life you want. It's just inevitable. You have to, like the old Okie saying here, you have to crack a couple of eggs to make cake. You've got to do that, and that's very important. And so a lot of people that have it better have made very hard decisions, and at times very unpopular decisions. They didn't take a vote and say, now everybody has to agree with this. 9 times out of 10, people don't want to agree with that because it means they'd have to change. And also, one of the things that's tough on people is their opinion of you. Once people spend the time to come up with an opinion of you, they don't want to change that. And when you make different decisions and go in a different direction, it forces them to change. It forces them to be uncomfortable. And I'm telling you right now, they're not going to be happy with that decision, and they're not going to be happy with you. That's the way it goes.
But the good news is, too, that until we do get buried in the ground, that we always have that opportunity to look at our life and what are the behaviors that we do want to change. And as we talk about how time goes by fast, um, but thank goodness that we're not the same people we were when we were 18 years old,
Oh,
and that we've had opportunities to make mistakes, but also opportunities to grow, opportunities to go to school. But I like what you said too. Is we're not going to please everyone out there.
yeah. I mean, it's the only way you're going to please everybody is do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Be an agreeable sort, and live your life for other people. And you're gonna, I promise you right now, emotionally, you're gonna be miserable. You're gonna be an unhappy person. Uh, no matter how much you give to someone else, if you're doing that for them to be appreciative, that's a setup for failure. They will never appreciate it enough. They never will, and you're going to be disappointed. It's more important to look at life and say, "This is where I am," and then ask a big question, like we're kind of doing indirectly today. Where do you want to be in 20 years? Do you want to be in the same place? If you want to be something different, you're going to have to make different decisions. I can remember when I was living in Atlanta, and uh, I felt like my life is going nowhere. And the answer was, well, you got to pack up everything and move to New Orleans, Louisiana. I went, never been to New Orleans, Louisiana. And go back to school and to sit in a classroom and to study. Yuck. That was hard. That was uncomfortable. It was without a doubt, Rick, getting out of my comfort zone. And I would in no way be where I am today if I hadn't gotten. I was a little old beat up two door Toyota Tercel.
Yep.
That I was in driving 55 miles an hour because that's about as fast as the car go. Getting there, and then once getting there, staying there. That was another thing that fascinated me. There are people who made a decision, made the sacrifice to come to school, and one day they just said, "No mas, I'm tired."
Mm-hmm.
It's like that race I was talking about. They were not prepared. They were looking for it to be smooth. They were looking to get the payoff, and that's just not how life works. When you make decisions that is to your benefit, you're going to have some bumps in the road, and you're going to have some things that don't particularly fit into place that you're going to have to work through. And it's that attitude. And I love this word. I want to share with people. And a very powerful word emotionally is flexibility. People that are flexible emotionally, who don't expect everything at the mountaintop. They know it's going to be valleys sometimes, and they can be in the middle of things in the valley. They can be in middle things on top of the mountain. They do better. They handle things better. And so being able to exhibit that is, for those who have children, one of the best parenting skills there are out there. It's not to, oh, it's all going to be wonderful and you're going to have a corner office and you're going to make six figures. No, there's going to be times when you're going to have a fight over mayonnaise. And telling people that, powerful.
Well, the vision has always been, in flexibility. If you put it into the analogy of a, and I like going back to our tornadoes in Oklahoma. The trees that are destroyed are the ones that are firm all the way up and have roots that are not well grounded.
Yeah, you don't see many pine trees,
right?
In Oklahoma.
But the plants that make it, or the trees that make it, are the ones that are well grounded, have the strong roots, but are flexible and do sway with the wind up top. And in life, when we learn to sway, we won't get blown away.
I once, a long time ago, went to a seminar where the woman talked about a plant that was in the ocean, and it was called kelp. And they said kelp goes all the way to the top of the ocean, but when you follow it all the way down, it's in the ocean floor and has deep ingrained roots. And so people who do well learn kelping.
Hmm.
They move with the wave of life, but they keep that solid foundation on the ocean floor. And I've seen that to be very true, very powerful. That concept. I don't know where she came up with it, but I love it. I thought, wow, that really is, you know, that how do you make marriages better? You kelp. How do you make parenting better? You kelp. How do you make work better? You kelp. Because the waves are gonna come and go. They just are, and some are gonna be big and some are gonna be small, but they're gonna be constant. And wow, it's like, ooh, gee, much.
Exactly. Well, we realize that we just really have control over two things, and that's our attitude and our behavior.
Mm.
Not much else in life. And so when we understand that our situations are not going to change when that other person changes, because we're never going to change anybody else in life. But when we learn to change the behaviors that would better interact with and help in the relationships, that's where we come, and our attitude towards it too. We got the attitude, like you said, is it's my way than highway, or my way, no way, or we could say, I want to better understand your position.
Right, and I think that's at the cornerstone of what I would see as successful marriages.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people get together based on passion
Mm-hmm.
and on the belief, my way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to marry me, you're going to do it my way. And that's another problem with dating. People are so agreeable. Oh, you want to go eat here? You want to go do this? You bet, honey. Oh, whatever you want. And that ends about I do. And then there's, you know, I didn't marry you to help you become you, more you. I was looking for us. I was looking for a relationship. I was looking for a give and take. And if we've got that, wow, then you see people that say years later, I wouldn't trade this for $1,000,000. This has been one of the greatest things in my life. But it is an acquired skill. It is not. Very few people come in and go, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm going to have a give and take." Oh no! In the back of their mind, they're going, "I'm obviously I found somebody who agrees with the way I see life, and they're going to continue to do." No, no, they're not. No, they're not. Because if they do, they're not well. It is not a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship is that give and take. Is that your way and my way, and us being together coming up with a third way.
Mm-hmm.
And that third way is unexpected. We never thought we'd be there, and it's the greatest thing.
Yeah, that's the collaborative resolution. And again, we know that the divine one, we are created in that divinity because we're meeting somebody and being attracted to someone that has the things that we're missing in our life, our skill set, our personality, and so forth. But those things that we're attracted to at first are become the areas of conflict if we don't keep that in mind, that these are the things that I fell in love with. These are the things that make me whole. When we talk about the wholeness or the divineness, divine one, that is two people coming together, making it complete by bringing their opposite or different perspectives in life. You usually will find a saver with a spender. You'll find a person who's more visual with somebody who's more auditory, and so forth. And so you've got the extrovert with the introvert. And, you know, we love that about the person that is always got all the friends, is always doing things, but when you get married, you're going out again. I don't want to go out again. I want to be here. And,
I've had enough of going out, man.
And so, so we learned, you know, what brought us together and what bonded us is going to be that bond. But unfortunately, we forget that sometimes, and like I said, that becomes our conflict.
Yeah, probably a good person who I love their view on that is Harville Hendrix.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the love you need, getting the love you want, author. I think he writes very well about going out and seeking your opposite and making that work. And so I would encourage people who are looking or feeling, well, I don't know that I found somebody, but I don't know if we connect. I really want to encourage you to go to the book bookstore and pick up Harville Hendricks's work. I think it's good. It's easily understood, and it will help you see what Rick's talked about, that solution at the end of it. That is, I think, very powerful.
Cheryl, who's a licensed professional counselor, she has been trained in Imago, and as I'm getting familiar with that theory, but a lot of that it deals with that is you see the image and going there, and we maybe get her to share some more about that another time.
Yeah, good stuff. It's good stuff, and it works, and it makes sense. I think there's the issue. It's not quantum physics. I think a lot of people look for solutions to stuff like it must be this quantum physics formula. And I think Rick would agree with me here. No, it's not doing the complicated things that work. It's doing the simple things over and over well that work.
Yeah. And the actions versus the words.
Yes. Yeah. There's going to be that place where, this has been kind of an underlying thought throughout this conversation, is, are we going to focus on the problem, or are we going to focus on a solution? I love Theodore Roosevelt saying, if all you do is talk about the problem, what you're actually doing is complaining. And I thought, boy, that will preach. That's exactly right. And couples do that all the time. Friends do that all the time. They just beat the horse. They're beating the dead horse. Man, are we going to go on this again? Are we going to talk about this again? Are we going to go over this again? I thought we resolved. I thought we found a solution to that. And we have to embrace the fact that there are people out there that cannot live, they cannot exist without a problem. If they don't have a problem, they're going to create a problem because their life seems unnormal if I don't have a problem. And those are toxic people. You need to stay away from them. You need to be, what you're looking for on some level. You need to be solution oriented and hopefully attract solution oriented. And I want people out there to hear, I'm not saying you be red and go find red. You can be red and find blue, but over here, you're red, they're blue, but are we willing to seek a solution? And there was that goes back to that person who was wondering about the elephant in the room. Is the friend that I have had issue with willing to create a solution? If they're not, then all you're going to do is two things: complain and fight, because that's all that's left. So if that's what you want and you don't bring that out, no, you bring that right out. I realize there's this elephant. Can we find a solution for that elephant? And what I'm saying today too is, if you're married, there's an elephant. If you're a friend, there's an elephant. It may not be this elephant, but there's an elephant. And it's asking you, life is asking you, seek a solution. Seek a solution with this person. Yeah. And if you do, miracles will happen.
And that's not 21st century counseling. That's from the book called the Bible.
Right. Oh, that Bible, bringing up that Bible again. Yeah, how dare that Bible be right 2,000 years later? Yeah, I mean, good, healthy solutions worked 2,000 years ago. Good, healthy solutions work today. It's not changing. It's not intricate. It's doing good things well.
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes.
What a concept.
Right. And I love the other side of that. That doesn't work for so many people because they don't like themselves. Yeah. So if I don't like me, well, then how can I love I can't. I don't like me. I don't like it. I don't like anybody. Yeah. I'm miserable and I want everybody else to be miserable. And we don't support that. We don't believe you gotta be miserable. that however bad things are, there is a solution. Now we're not saying you're just going to pick it up in a moment. It may take some time. It may, you may have to pull your sleeves up and get to work on it. But if you do, Rick and I are promising you a solution is at the core. A solution to how things are done that will be, as you talked about, win-win. Mm-hmm. That we're both going to feel good about this, and it's going to lead us in a direction that makes us as friends better people. Us, if we were a couple, a better couple. It's the same principle out there, and to have a good relationship as a friend, to have a good relationship as a spouse is the same thing. WORK. It's work. That's probably one of the big lies years ago. Oh, marry someone and you're going to be happily ever after. You're going to live happily ever after. No, you will not. That is a lie. I don't care. I have seen people that were walking on air to get married. Mm-hmm. Oh, they were good. And a week later, they didn't want to be married anymore. Whoo!
Well, that new car always is attractive, but if you don't maintain it, it breaks down.
There we go. My wife has a phrase that I love. It's called pride of ownership. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that people lose very quickly in a marriage is pride of ownership. I have no pride in this. Oh, yeah, I got you. Big deal. When I would move heaven and earth to be able to go out with you one time a week ago. It's that change that really disturbs people and really separates people. And so, but if you have pride of ownership, I got this new car and I'm going to get out and I'm going to wash it and I'm going to vacuum it and I'm going to polish it, you will be surprised how much you love that car by putting that kind of attention in. And that works with marriage. If you're putting that marriage, if you're washing that marriage and waxing that marriage and vacuuming that marriage, it's amazing how much value that marriage has.
Well, apparently, statistically, over 50% of people out there are thinking they're leasing their spouse instead of buying it.
No, Rick, I would probably believe that there's 50% of people out there that believe they're a part of Uber. That if I need somebody, I call them and they come. And the one phrase, I don't know if there you hear, but I certainly hear a lot is, this person wasn't the person I married. Mm-hmm. You're not the person I married. And my thought is, good. I'm glad they're not the person. They don't need to be the person. They need to be a different person. They need to be a better person. By marrying you, I would hope that would help them grow and be better. Not in any way be the same, but it's that desire to keep things on an even keel, the sameness, and even a great relationship that never challenges itself will die. Yeah. It will not be good. People do living together become bored of each other. I mean, that sadly to say happens. And we've seen, like you're bringing up the example of the car. If I get in a shiny new car and I drive for the first time, I've never driven it before, woo, it's all good. But let me tell you, if you saw me drive it the second thousandth time, I didn't polish it, I didn't clean it, I just got in and I started it and I just drove it and I took it for granted. Mm-hmm. It isn't long before that car breaks down and is worthless as a piece of junk. And that is a good example of marriages. Some of the most loving, caring relationships, no pride of ownership, no investment of work.
And no maintenance.
No maintenance.
Reminding that, and a theory that we teach and have been trained on is the soul healing love that Tom and Bev Rogers wrote. Mm-hmm. And that's the imago with Christian principles applied to it. But that's another good book to go check out is Soul Healing Love with by Tom and Bev Rogers.
Yeah, and a piece I want to bring in here is if you are wondering about a piece of material, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the answer may be don't know. We'll have to check it out. But if Rick and I are both or separately have read it and have an opinion about it, we're more than glad to let you know. And we're not promoting one piece of information out there. We know that there are many people out there who have published wonderful
Mm-hmm.
material, and we want to share that with you in hopes that you can help yourself, you know, and that you can enlighten yourself. But we can't run out and buy the book and bring it to your house and give it to you. Uh, that isn't how it works. What we can sit here and on the porch and say, what about this book? You know, what about this author? And say, we found them to be good, to be honorable, their material to hit the nail on the head. And we will certainly do that on the porch.
And as we, get ready to close out today and talking about change, I have a lot of admiration for these authors who have written books for the last 20, 25, 30 years. And the ones that I really have a lot of admiration for are the ones who will admit that the first book they wrote, the second book they wrote, they've changed their position a little bit, that they've grown. I just had the opportunity to hear John Maxwell 2 weekends ago, and he talks about his first book, and he can talk about it kidly now because it was not one of his jewels out there.
Yeah, right. Well, he had limited understanding, and probably it was genius work with his limited understanding years ago, but he's not there anymore.
Yeah, where he was at 35 is not where he's 69 now, and
wow.
and grown. But so we won't be back till next year.
Next year, wow. Yeah, come on, 2017's got to be better than 2016. Woo, I'm just telling you straight up, I'm ready to burn that bridge like Homer Simpson did.
So I agree with you, and you can email us off the Southern Porches Facebook page or just through our regular Facebook pages. These videos are posted on Roger's My Sites and a couple others, and I'm getting them up on YouTube now. So you feel free to go back but that's really where we get our information from the questions that are sent to us or asked to us.
Amen. As you can see, Rick reads what people email us, and we do our best to address it straight up. This would be the same if you walked to any of our offices and asked us anything. It would be no different. This is the way we are. This is the way we think. This is what we believe, and we're giving it straight up to you.
So Cheryl, happy anniversary. Love you, and I'll see you later this afternoon. And we'll see the rest of you next year.
Have a good one.